How do you not know what a selfie is? You take pictures of yourself.
I'm old, man. I don't know what kind of stuff is.
Hey, well, that's good because today's episode of the Friday Foursome is
That's
made
right.
for old people. We're going to get to old people here in a few
Right.
minutes. We are back for another episode of the Friday Foursome. I don't understand, and we're going to get to that. That's going to be one of the first questions is how the guy that's the guest today can talk about and promote his product and his services to old people, and he's not old, but we're going to talk
Good
about
question.
Yeah, that is, I mean,
That's a good question.
hang on, we're going to get there. We got, as always, Jason Boslow from Shop Junior Golf. He's busy today. He said he was going to be late, but he was actually early, and he sent me questions. So not
Wow.
only is he on time, he's prepared.
Give that boy a medal.
Yeah,
I know,
well,
right?
it's tough.
And we have Les Bailey. I'm going to teach Les how to take a selfie. So, okay, Les, you take your phone, and then you take a picture of yourself. That's it. Pretty simple. There's a song.
It's
that
not
you
going to be
listen
pretty
to.
now.
No, I didn't
It's
say
not
that it
gonna
had to
be
be. I
pretty.
mean, I got to look at you for 30 minutes a week anyway. So
I'm excited that Les gets to be the expert today.
he does, and Les is the guest next week. I don't know if anybody knew that, but Les is the guest of honor next week. So, but that's next week.
Is that next week or
I don't know. Look at your
I'm
calendar.
not going to be here next week.
Well, I hope you are because you're the guest. Let's focus on the guest of this week. And Les Bailey, by the way, is from Pro Golf Now. And today's guest, I feel like Jason and I should just sit here and let these two guys talk. But we've got Dr. Ryan York, and I don't know if I should call him Dr. Ryan or Ryan or...
Just Ryan's good.
Hold on. That's one of my questions. Don't steal my thunder. Not yet. The first question I do have is, okay, you're not 50, and the whole concept of your brand, your company, Age Defying Golf, is golfers 50 years and older. How in the world can you, who's probably in your early 30s, talk to people that are, well, Les's age?
Well, that's
Hey.
easy. No, that's a good question. I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
But I guess the best analogy I can think of is, if you have a mole on your shoulder and you go to the doctor and you go to an oncologist, you're not going to ask the oncologist if he's had cancer before, whether you're going to see that oncologist or not. Or if you have a heart problem, your cardiologist, you're not going to ask him if he's had a heart attack before to see if he's qualified to talk about it. That's kind of the
that's a really. I kind of didn't think you were going to have a good answer, but that's pretty good.
Well, I get that question a lot.
I've asked that before. That's great.
Now,
Stole your thunder, didn't you, Ricky?
yeah, you sure did. Now I feel like no, I'm done now. So let's let the older gentleman in the group, and we're not going to point fingers at who that is, but let's let the older gentleman in the group ask a question. Les, that's you, in case you didn't realize.
Well, we haven't formally introduced Ryan yet. We hadn't let him talk about himself yet.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Let's do that. Ryan, who are you? What do you do?
Talking about forgetful, isn't that the first thing in age?
I know, maybe I should be.
Yeah.
There you go. You're starting to fit in a little more and more, Ricky. So myself, I'm a physical therapist, got my doctorate in physical therapy and certified golf performance specialist. And we had been running a golf program. This was back in 2005, 2006. We had been running kind of a golf performance program out of our clinic, and we had noticed a little bit of some difference between golfers over 50 and the younger golfers. There was a recurring issue, and the main thing that we would find is, with a younger golfer, you could take a look at his swing. You could find an issue with his swing, tell him about the swing, and he could make that correction. With older golfers, even good golfers, we had a lot of single digits and a lot of the local pros come in, and we would have an issue like they're thrusting their hips instead of rotating their hips, which is a common issue with golfers over 50. And they knew about this issue, but even in slow motion, can't fix the issue. So we started to see that difference between the body. There was something different in the mechanism. So the body of a 50-year-old is just a totally different machine than the body of a younger golfer. I should preface this by saying at that time, I was actually starting to lose interest in golf performance. We were working with a lot of young golfers. I don't know if you guys remember 2005, 2006. That was a big power golf era where the long drive champions were starting to come into play. So we had a lot of young guys in there, and they wanted to hit the ball a lot farther, and that's okay. But it wasn't giving me that deep gut passion for what I was doing. So we started seeing this difference, and so we were spending a little bit more time with golfers over 50, but not necessarily it didn't catch my attention really. I mean, it was just something we were doing. But about the same time, I was in a local golf tournament with my father-in-law, who's about 57 at the time, really good golfer. And we were going into the second day of the tournament, and I was out there practicing, warming up, and he wasn't there. And it was getting closer to time. I'd go out to the range, come back, still not there. I'm getting just irritated. I'm like, where the heck are you? I'm competitive. I want to win this thing. I want him in it. And so eventually I get a call from him, and he just says nonchalantly, Ryan, I don't think I can play today. And I'm just like, would you get a better offer? You going fishing? I don't, hey, you're about down here. We got to play some golf, which made me feel like an idiot because it turns out he was in the emergency room.
Oh,
So,
no.
Yeah, playing golf the day before, he had slipped a couple discs, blown out a couple discs. He couldn't move his legs at all, having a lot of pain. It turns out he had to have fusion surgery. So, and he was out 6 to 8 months.
Jeez.
So he was out. It was a pretty big injury, but the more I talked about that type of thing with some of the golfers we work with, you find out that that's not an uncommon issue. Instead of being surprised at that issue, they tell me their story about their injury, whether it was a shoulder, a lot of knee injuries out there, and they had these same type of issues. But there was a couple interesting things that came out of that. Get that hat on.
I don't want to mess my hair up. Les looks so, Lesson's so fresh, he doesn't even take the tag on.
So a couple interesting things, besides it being very common, is the biggest thing with it is it was not the pain of the injury. It was not the biggest problem. The biggest problem was not the surgery, which was a pretty intensive big surgery, or the rehab, which I was working with my father-in-law. The biggest thing was from a quote that I had heard from a couple years ago, which is the opposite of happiness is not sadness. The opposite of happiness is boredom, which is from Timothy Ferriss. And seeing that firsthand knowledge of what my father-in-law was going through and some of these other golfers, I found that's pretty true. Is boredom is just brutal. So I started paying a little bit more attention. It kind of caught my attention. Where I was kind of fading away from the golf thing, it kind of caught my attention, brought me back. I started to listen a little bit more to the golfers in this age range, and I'd hear these commonalities in the stories, and they would say, Ryan, I spent all my life working and playing golf on the weekends, and I love golf, and now that my working is done, you have all this time, you have all this free time, and you want to you want to play a lot of golf. And the problem is the golf game that they remember playing was not the golf game they were playing anymore. Their bodies have changed. They'd lost. You hear a lot about loss of power, which power is more than just showing off to your buddies or feeling like the big dog on the golf course. Power is the difference between playing golf where you're hitting 8 and 9 irons into greens to long irons and hybrids into greens, which your score goes down. It's just not as much fun. And then the one thing that people don't talk about with golfers over 50 is you lose accuracy and consistency. Because the body changes, it's much tougher you can't get into positions that you need to be in for a fundamental golf swing. You can't, you thrust towards the ball a little bit more, and so you lose this accuracy and consistency too.
You're doing a really good job of making me want to get old. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Awesome. So speaking of being old, Les.
Yes.
These questions to
well, one of your statements in your website has to do with early hip extension.
Yeah.
And the question I have is back in the '60s there was a dance called the bump. And
can you show that to me?
During my early days,
I need to see that.
In my early days of playing golf and taking lessons, they would tell you to do the bump with your hips before you started your downswing.
Yeah.
And they would explain it that way. So I'm thinking that was probably wrong, based on this early hip extension. So could you kind of explain?
Yeah, I need to see it, Les. Go ahead and show us an example. In a totally professional, non-laughing manner. No? All right.
Put Put your leg against the wall and then bump the wall with your butt.
It's a family-friendly.
That's how you do it.
You don't need to see that. Ryan, if you dare answer.
You ready for
question.
me? Okay. So, no, I think that's probably a different issue. I think the bump that you're talking about when you're at the top of the backswing is your bump where your hips move toward the target a little bit. So you bump towards the target and then you rotate. Is that? But
that's the way they used to teach you.
Right. Well, early hip extension is different. It's when instead of rotating, I mean, you could do the bump and rotate, but the hips thrust forward towards the ball. Does that make sense? Now, instead of towards the target, you're going towards the ball. And yeah, we call that the silent swing killer for golfers over 50 because it's just really not talked about that much. But the problem was when your hips thrust forward towards the ball, you're hitting the ball like if take an example from baseball. You know, a baseball player, he rotates to throw, and he has that kind of whip action that gives him the speed. When you thrust your hips forward, it's more like you're trying to throw a ball like a shot putter. You lose that whip action, and you're thrusting your ball into it like a shot putter. So you lose a lot of power.
Okay.
But then the other thing is you're moving your body out of that plane, and it's going to be tough to beat on plane. But I think that's a different issue than that swing bump, the little hip action you got in your swing list.
So that's what So that's what the early hip extension is talking about then.
Yeah, and that's typically a physical problem with left hip restrictions. People lose range of motion in their left hip and they're not able to rotate.
Jason, you're not 50 either.
No.
But I see you've got some good questions.
It was funny. I talked to Ricky earlier in the week. I knew Jason was going to be there, a big junior golf guy. And I'm thinking, you know, in my world, junior golf is like 49, 50-year-olds. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what we're going to talk about.
See, here's what's funny, though, is the mental capacity of an 8-year-old versus a 54-year-old is probably somewhere very similar when it comes to the golf course. So dealing with them mentally, I'm sure, is probably very similar.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Les?
Well, I would say he's probably right because with us older guys, it's like, well, I've been doing this for 50 years this way. Why should I change? You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
And my 8-year-old, I know what I'm doing, Dad. Leave me alone. It's no different than Les. I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone.
I know what I'm doing. Give me a cup of coffee.
So I have to ask my most favorite question starting off, and Ricky will appreciate this one. So the belly putter ban, how will that affect senior golfers?
I did not expect that question.
Oh, come on. You had to have expected
Well, I knew the belly putter is a big thing for you guys. No, I like the belly putter.
All right, this interview is over. I'm kidding, but not really, but a little.
It's I like the belly putter, not so much for the anchoring aspects of it as far as for golfers over 50, but anything that can get a golfer to straighten up that back a little bit. Because even on the senior tour, you see a lot of those golfers with a big hump in their back. You get that hump in your back, and you lose a lot because you lose the ability to rotate your back. And so if you get that posture, you're not going to be able to make a good backswing because the body needs to rotate from that position, from that mid-back position. So, yeah, I'm all for the belly putter.
All right, whatever.
Keep that posture good.
Next question. I don't have another one.
So, Ricky, am I still allowed to ask another question?
Yes, fine. Go, Jason. Jeez.
Oh, no, I'll let the old guy go next.
Okay.
This is, after all, like his
respect
area.
your elders. You're much older elders.
Yeah. On your website, you have a clubs that you recommend based on being old or elderly.
Over 50.
What factors are you over 50? Yeah, well, that 50. What factors are you considering when you're selecting those clubs for us older guys?
It's primarily swing speed. So you're looking to maximize your distance with a little bit lower swing speed, maybe around 92 mile an hour to 95 mile an hour swing speed. And it turns out the golf clubs and the heads that work best for golfers with high speed swing speeds like Ricky, like 120 miles an hour in that range.
Not quite.
Are not the same. Are not the same drivers that are going to maximize distance for, golfers over 50. So it's a completely different set. So set of how the golf club's configured and things like that to maximize that distance.
Interesting.
So that's the factors, the distance.
Yep.
So Jason likes to do yoga in his spare time, don't you, Jason?
So, like, you're talking flexibility and you're talking core and strength and things like that. Like, I guess, how important or is yoga a good activity for, whether it's golfers over 50 or any golfer for that matter? Is yoga a good activity to help in your golf game?
Yeah, definitely. Yoga is in our main program, which is a 3-part yoga program. There's a little part in there that's kind of a Pilates/yoga type of program. But yeah, yoga is good for overall flexibility in the game. Things like that. Now our program is a little bit different than what you would get from like a personal trainer. Personal trainers are really good, but our program is 3 phases. Our main program, the first phase is foundation, and this is where we're working mostly on the flexibility issues of the game, trying to change the golfer's body so they can make those moves again. But then the next 2 phases are different than that. It's not just a fitness type of golfing.
Gotcha.
So you work with a lot of old people. We've already shown, like, less.
Wise people. Wisdom.
Seasoned. I like to call them seasoned.
Yes.
They're seasoned people.
Is 50 really old now? I don't even know that 50 is really old.
It's not at all.
It's not.
But I don't know that 50 is old.
That's funny. I mean, I don't want to laugh, but I laugh because I didn't have the ability to say that myself. So.
Les, you are a good sport. You are a good sport.
Well,
He can hear us.
I know what I was going to say. I'm so glad he can hear us, but I don't know if he can.
Do you know what I know that you don't know?
I don't know.
Is that you're going to be here one of these days. And
I hope I'm going to be there one day.
There you go, man.
I can't wait till I can just snap my finger to somebody, bring me a cup of coffee. I am totally excited about that. Now, the hip rotation and the ability to lose distance and accuracy, I'm not excited about, but bring me coffee.
It all comes with the same program, son. Let me tell you.
So, out of all of the old, seasoned, experienced people you've worked with, who's the oldest? How old was he or she?
Well, the oldest I worked with was probably my favorite guy. His name was Chuck Young. He was 95 at the time.
Not young, ironic.
Not young. Yeah, exactly. Chuck, he was an interesting guy because when he was 85, 86, he had somebody on the golf course actually tell him he needed to hang it up, put his golf clubs away, sell his golf clubs away. You just shouldn't be playing this game anymore. And he did. He sold his golf clubs. He was done. And he was in our clinic, and we were working with, he had some rotator cuff issues, so we were kind of talking about that. So he let me start working with him for a while, and we got him back to where he was walking 18 holes again, but playing good enough golf that he qualified for the Senior Golf Olympics, which is a national golf Olympics, and they played a tournament down on the Stanford golf courses down there in California, and he placed first.
No way.
Yeah, it was awesome. On our website, you have a picture of me right there with him. He has his medal on. That's a pretty neat story.
How old was he in that picture? I've seen
he was 95.
No way. He looks like not that old.
He was young at heart, too.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Is he still around? I mean, is he still?
Yeah.
No kidding. That's
not 99 now.
No way. That is awesome. I hope he still plays.
He does play a little bit.
Yeah. Les.
That's pretty cool.
What?
So there's still hope for Les.
If he can hear me. God, it's too easy.
I
Les
can
makes
hear
it
you.
easy. God. Well, then pay attention.
I can hear you.
The next question is yours.
Oh, all right.
Do we need to chat it on?
I very seldom get my questions in, so I feel honored today. You know, my brother-in-law and I are both about the same age, and we usually start around the golf with 2 Bud Lights for we call it Arthritis Medicine. And the question I have is, what process do you have for arthritic hands? Do you have any magical secrets for having arthritis or carpal tunnel in your hands?
Well, I should probably preface it by saying I don't promote performance-enhancing drugs on the golf course.
Beer is not a performance-enhancing.
Hence is my important.
It is a delicious beverage.
And yes, I do Bud Light, so.
So water.
Yeah, right. Hands. It's not a real common issue, but there is an issue with arthritic hands. Some of the main things you need to know just the basics of arthritis. You know, keep it warm, and you take your anti-inflammatory medication before you go out. You can get bigger grips on the golf club, Bigger grips make it more likely that you would push the golf ball, though, so just be aware of that. And then there's golf gloves out there that are specially made for people with arthritis.
There you go.
Yeah, I think they're...
Because I do put the larger grips on my clubs, so not real big ones, but larger,
Right.
So that's what's caused my drives to go right. Huh?
Yeah, bigger grips. It's tougher to release through that golf club with bigger grips.
Really?
So what are some of the most common injuries that you see, and what kind of things can you do to prevent those injuries for other people watching? Not just left.
Right. Well, by far and away, the biggest thing with golfers is back injuries. The golf swing is a pretty violent motion. There's a lot of torque through the midsection. And so back injuries are probably the biggest one with your amateur golfers. There's a lot of things you can do to prevent those as far as stabilization. We do some stabilization stuff in the first part of our program because, like with my father-in-law, when your back goes out, it was miserable. So prevention is the key with that. But we're also, in one of the books that we have what's called the orthopedic golf swing, which is some adjustments you can make in your swing to decrease the torque on your back, if you're having back problems and things like that. But
good information.
Les doesn't read chat. I'm sitting here telling him what to do without having. Yes,
giving him questions.
I need to make it big.
I read it, but
I'm just gonna say you probably can't read it.
I read it, Rick. But you haven't asked any questions yet, or just
I know because
are you too young to ask questions here? Or?
Les is being a really good sport today.
Yeah, he is.
You were busy. You were busy putting your washer and dryer in, and didn't take time to write any questions. Is that what you're trying to tell me here?
2 of my 4 have been.
Old people are brutally honest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I want to say one thing though. For a lot of the people that think about a program for golfers over 50, especially when young people think about it, they think about injury prevention. But and we focused on injury prevention over a while, and it's important. But when it comes down to the meat of what golfers over 50 really want, it comes down to performance. They want to go out there and they want to enjoy the golf game. If you've been a single-digit handicapper for the last 20 years and you can't break 85 anymore, that's kind of a miserable experience. You're in retirement golf time, you're traveling and playing these beautiful golf courses, but it's hard to enjoy it when you're frustrated. You're just not having fun with this new activity that's taken up is kind of the bulk of your retirement plan. So we do golf injury stuff, injury prevention, but it's mostly golf performance. So golfers can go out there and play a game that they can be proud of, they can enjoy, and enjoy playing with other people, not being embarrassed. So.
Yeah, like I said, thanks for making me want to get old and retire. Awesome.
Hey, it's all preventable.
Hey, there's one thing. There's one key to the getting old thing, is if you quit worrying about what your score is and just go out there and have fun, which is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have fun. You don't worry about the score.
Mm-hmm.
If we shoot 95 or 85, it's the same. We drink 2 beers, play golf for 4 hours, and go home.
Wait a minute, you said you drank 2 beers on the first tee. What are you doing by the second tee?
Well, we get a 6-pack on the way home,
Who's counting?
So you're the co-founder. Who's the other founder?
Chad Edwards. Chad Edwards is a colleague of mine, and he went through the Titleist Performance Institute.
Oh, nice.
Got his certifications through there, which is going to be more and more popular thing. But yeah, he's been an invaluable resource, when we were putting all this together.
Very cool. There, Les, I asked a question.
All right. What do you mean by turn and stay wide to keep your power?
Well, one of the compensations, we call these escape routes that golfers over 50 tend to do when their bodies aren't able to move in the same. So, like, if you're taking your normal backswing, you want to get to a certain spot in your backswing. If your hips, shoulder, back was not letting you do that, a lot of golfers over 50 will go to escape routes or compensations, such as, the easy one to identify is the elbows collapse. So your elbows collapse, you get a little bit longer backswing, but you're losing your width. So when you lose your width, all that extra length in your backswing is all for nothing because you get so much power out of your width. You got to stay wide in the golf swing to really generate that club head speed. So Well, so I mean that's basically what it means by staying wide.
Is there anything tied with that to keeping it flatter, or?
Keeping your swing flatter.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's directly related, but it is common for golfers over 50 tend to get a little bit more vertical in their golf swing. You know, they can't turn as much, so they go up with the golf swing.
I do that, yes.
Mm-hmm. That's an escape route, Les. That's
training.
Good. You got to fix that.
That way forever. Like he wants the whole straight up and straight through he doesn't want the rotation.
Well, if you look at if you look at a lot of the old pictures of Nicklaus and Johnny Miller and all those guys, you know, they were very high with their golf swing, and they all went into what was called reverse C back in those days. Whereas nowadays the golf swing is flatter, more over your shoulder, and not quite so high. Your hands are not as high.
Right.
But as you get older, if I go out and swing a club with my little accelerometer on it, if I get that club really high, I can get that swing speed pretty high. But you know, you never know where the ball's going to go.
Yeah.
Right. You have big, thick grip, so it's going right.
There you go. That's the problem with the escape routes is you may be gaining a little bit of distance with some of these alternate moves that you may be doing, but you're going to lose accuracy. And so that's where a lot of these golfers over 50, they lose that consistency in their golf swing.
So Jason, you're not 50 yet.
Just from the fact that you're going.
What's that?
Les interrupted. Go ahead, Les.
Go ahead.
No, you interrupted. No.
Age before beauty.
Yeah.
Voila! Go right ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say that Jason's not old and seasoned yet. But do you have any final questions for? I feel weird now because you're a doctor, not calling you Dr. Ryan.
No.
No, I'm ready for the back nine though.
So fun. That's the favorite. I feel like whenever we say that, there should be like a graphic that comes up with like lightning and stuff. It's like I don't know how to do that though.
Does Ryan even know about the back nine?
I don't know. Did we talk about the back nine?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know what the back nine is.
Oh well, what your back nine? Well,
what? Like the back nine? You better tell me before I talk.
But before we do that, Les, put your coffee down. Any final questions from you? Since I've asked.
No, I'm good.
No, ask one more. I want you to ask one more.
I could tell.
No, ask one more.
Ask one more. The website said that your package was reduced in price. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure who does your website, but it could use a little help. Let's just put it that way.
Was it
mean?
Saying that it was confusing to you, or?
It was a little cluttered, and the graphics were not the best in the world. I mean, it's not laid out the best in the world for younger people.
Good way to save it from just totally crashing his website. That's funny. Okay, so the Ryan, the back nine is 9 rapid fire questions, and most people don't listen when I say answer as fast as I ask them because sometimes they'll get into long conversations, which is fine. If that happens, that happens. But it's nine totally random questions that you have no idea what's coming.
Okay.
Awesome. Now hold on, wait a minute. You wanted to give something away. I forgot.
Oh yeah.
And you forgot.
Yeah, I totally forgot. We have a giveaway for anybody watching the show. If you go to agedefyinggolf.com/Friday, we're giving away a book that we have. It's called The Golf and Good Life, and this was a book for golfers over 50, but it's your traditional kind of faults and fixes type of thing. So we have these faults and fixes with the added twist that a lot of these faults are caused by physical problems. So it gives you how to fix that physical problem. Then you can make the fix in your golf swing.
Awesome.
So that book is free download on that site. So agedefyinggolf.com/Friday.
Les, you're gonna have to go get that.
All
book.
right.
Yeah, Les likes.
I am.
So you probably already downloaded it. Okay, so the back nine. Here we go. Now hold on before. Real quick, is there a timeline on that? And if I can, I'll throw the link in the community so people have the ability to download it.
No timeline. It'll just be up at any time they want to go to. So.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. Okay. Back nine, are you ready?
Ready.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous. I'm ready for fast answers. So.
You should be nervous, probably. Favorite PGA Tour major?
Oh, Masters.
Have you ever had a hole-in-one? Now, see, you're starting to talk. See, the Masters.
Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have a hole-in-one.
One or multiple?
Just one.
That's not the next question. That's a part section of that question.
Okay, I've had just one. It was a Skull 8-iron after I'd been playing for 3 months when I was 14 years old. Just a horrible shot. It was dark. I couldn't even see it go in.
Awesome. So you deserved it. Very nice.
Yeah, I got a trophy.
But you didn't get a bottle of scotch, which
no.
Yeah.
I was 14.
What is your favorite golf course?
My favorite, well, it has to be Augusta. I mean, you just fall in love with that golf course when you see it on TV. I could sit and watch that for hours.
And have you been there? Again, part of this question.
Not been there.
No, you need to go. Explain Age Defying Golf in 140 characters or less.
140 characters. So Age Defying Golf is a program designed to help golfers over 50 enjoy golf in their retirement, have fun.
You ran out of characters a long time ago.
Is that 140 characters?
I didn't say 140 words. I said 140 characters.
That's right. I cut the spaces out.
That's a really long hashtag. Coke or Pepsi?
I'm going to go with Pepsi.
Speaking of majors, will Tiger break Jack's record? Tiger break Jack's record.
Oh, I knew this question was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, well, of course it's coming. I'm talking.
I know. You know, if you had asked me that question 5 years ago, I said they'd just blow it away. But, you know, there just seems to be something missing. He's still exciting to watch, but I just don't think he's going to do it. Sorry, Ricky. Sorry.
All right. Again, this interview is over. Thank you. I've lost my complete train of thought. What is the lowest round you've ever shot, Mr. 18 or 14-year-old hole-in-one?
I think I shot a 66.
Nice. Where? That's a really good score.
It was at a golf course next to my college in Tacoma, Washington.
Putt doesn't count.
Yeah. No, it's called Allenmore Golf Course.
So what is your favorite age-defying golf product? I know you have the DVDs and books and all kinds of stuff. What's your favorite product? And you can only pick one.
My favorite product is one we're going to be releasing next month, and this is, I haven't playing with the title, but it's going to be called the Stiff Old Guys Method to increase power or something like that instantly. But it's basically
Can you put a picture of Les on the cover?
Yeah,
I was going to say, we have a model for you.
There's no exercise in it, so people that don't want to exercise, no exercise. These are just method and changes you can make in your golf swing for instant impact.
That's awesome. Les, you do have a heart of gold there, Les, because we've been making fun of you for the last 25 minutes. So
yeah, I have so much respect for Les after this session.
And the final question: What is?
I make fun of you all the time, man.
I know you do. What is next for Ryan York and Age Defying Golf?
Well, next is that new product that we're coming out with in about a month. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to make a difference for people because the number one reason why someone doesn't do a program like Age Defying Golf is they feel like they're not going to stick to a program or they're not going to be able to stick to an exercise program. So this is a complete reversal, change of pace, but can make an impact and really make a difference in golfers over 50 in their games.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you, Les. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the time today.
Yeah.
And I discovered this week when I was talking to Jesus, and I always say, as Jesus Martinez says, make more birdies. He didn't actually say that, and I can't remember that I didn't know this, but that's from Tin Cup. Does anybody else know that that's a quote from Tin Cup?
No.
Yeah, me either. I don't know where he says that, because now I can't say, as Jesus Martinez says. Now I have to say, well, I don't know who said it in the movie. So, as said in Tin Cup, make more birdies.